We just want to keep you up to date now on a potential ABC News special report. We are awaiting word from the president, who will be discussing the current government shutdown. That message was pushed back to about 12:45, so we'll stand by to see if that happens. If it does, we will go to ABC News for coverage on that. Now, ironically, we don't have the president here, but we do have a presidential chef. Yeah, it's kind of funny. He cooked for both of the presidents, Bush, also for President Clinton. He is here with us today, and he's also going to showcase his new book that's called Dining at the White House, From the President's Table to Yours. We welcome former White House chef John Moeller. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Very fitting to have you here today.
I appreciate it.
So we're going to talk about your time in the White House. Let's get started on this soup that you're going to make. What are you making for us today?
This is Hubbard squash. So we're going to take Hubbard squash, leeks, and fennel, and make a soup out of all that.
It already smells delicious in here.
I served it in the late 90s to President Clinton when he received Prime Minister Rabin in for a working lunch.
I trust he liked it.
Yeah, absolutely loved it there, you know.
You wouldn't be
and
preparing
soup's
it
always
today.
popular at lunchtime there.
Okay, so how do you get started with this?
All right. So what do we have here? Sweating down in some butter. We have the leeks that have been diced up.
Okay.
We only do the white part of the leek that we dice, and then we have fennel. This is fennel. The tops are removed, and only the bottom is what is diced in. So we're going to do is refer to as sweating with butter.
Okay.
And we don't want color. We just want to just kind of sweat it down a little bit.
Okay.
There. Meanwhile, we're going to have a little bit of garlic in there with it.
Garlic.
And normally we let this go a little bit longer than normal, but just because of time here, we're going to take our Hubbard squash, which earlier I took this Hubbard squash. This is a small one. This is a big one here.
That's a small one.
It's 25 pounds there. I cut it in half. I put it down on a sheet pan, skin side up, flesh side down, and I baked it off in the oven for almost an hour.
Interesting.
And when I was able to stick a knife into it and pull it out and it was soft, it's done.
All right.
Some people peel it and cut it in chunks and boil it, but you add moisture to it. By doing this way, you're pulling moisture out and concentrating the sweet flavor of the squash.
Very interesting.
So after it's been baked, you can see how soft it is. And what I do is I just scrape the flesh away from the skin.
Easy enough.
And then what we'll do is we're going to take that along with what I've already pulled out.
Sure.
And we're just going to add that to it.
This is such a good time of year for soups, too. You say these were always popular at the White House, huh?
Yeah. Many times the first ladies were always eating by themselves at lunchtime, and the classical soup and salad was always very popular.
Very good. Very good.
And what I'm going to do here next is we're going to add some chicken stock to it.
Okay.
So I like using chicken broth. I think it gives a nice flavor and brings out the flavors of like squash soups and other soups. But if you want to go vegetarian, vegetable stock is perfectly fine.
Okay.
You know?
Very good. Very good.
Add a little bit of that to it.
So as you're preparing this, so tell me what it was like to cook at the White House. Many years you spent there.
Yeah, 1992 I started with George H.W. Bush, and then moved on with 8 years with Clinton, and then 5 years with George W. Bush.
How do you become a White House chef?
Right place at the right time. And fortunately, it was my work experience I had over in Europe. I spent 2.5 years in France in the mid-'80s. And that helped me set up the time to go into the White House, because the chef at the White House was going to be, well, he was French-born, but he had to be an American citizen and work full-time. So he was actually looking for an American that knew something about French cooking, and that's what set me apart from the other candidates.
That is the right place at the right time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You talk about in your book the term working in residence. What do you mean by that?
Well, the residence is the executive residence, which is the absolute White House.
Okay.
The President and First Lady, they live on the second floor. That's their residence. So we were responsible for their daily meals, doing breakfast, lunch, dinner, any state dinners, receptions, all these things that were encompassed in there. Outside on the South grounds, like on 9/11, a lot of people don't realize on 9/11 we were supposed to have the congressional barbecue. All of Congress was supposed to be on the South grounds at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, that didn't happen.
It did not happen.
No.
You know, we nicked it that year.
And so this book that's out now, more than 100 recipes, and it's important to note that they were all created by you and all were served at the White House.
Correct. And President First Lady partaked in all this here, you know. And if I write up a recipe, and obviously a menu first, I would have to get it okay to the Social Secretary, through the East Wing, through the National Office of the First Lady, and then once that's been all okayed, and then you go through and you execute it, you know.
Wow, what a fascinating job. And you have
never, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, we just wanted to make sure we included that you have 2 events coming up that you'll be able to, people will be able to see you at. The Harvest Breakfast, that's later this week, and that's at the Lancaster Central Market, right? And then you have a demonstration of book signing coming up at the Hershey Library, so folks can see you. Now back to the soup here. You haven't even, you know what? You haven't even stirred it much since we've here, but it's already cooking down.
It's cooking down there. Since we I moved it ahead a little fast there, so we're going to let that simmer for a little bit. I don't have the blender here. What I'd like to do now is take that and blend it.
Okay, make it real
There's
smooth.
something about the leek is so much better, I find, than onions to make the soup with.
Okay, okay, very good.
And it blends very nicely with the squash soups. And you're going to puree this. Puree it completely smooth, like this.
There you go.
And I did this earlier. And then what we do here, we're going to take this and ladle it into our cup here.
Delish.
Nice and hearty. And I added a little bit of cream to it. You don't have to add cream to it. And a lot of times at the White House, for lunch for the First Lady, I do creamless soups because I told people that, yes, I was a chef there, but a lot of times I felt like I was a dietitian because when they ate by themselves on a day-to-day basis, they were very calorie conscious. And so I would constantly not add extra cream or calories where it wasn't needed.
Very good.
And here's like a little bit of a,
oh,
and this is a little tip off the fennel. So yeah, add a little extra garnish is always
so
nice there, you know.
Doesn't that look lovely? Well, thank you so much for being here. We really look forward to that book. Folks can get that right now, or is it's due out
Our
soon?
launch was last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday.
So it's available. You can go through our website.
Dining at the White House.
.com.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
We will be right back.
Thank you.